I'm Anthony Warner. I'm a development chef and food writer. I write about food systems and health and sustainability. But I'm also a development chef in the food manufacturing industry, have been for a number of years, worked with some of the UK's largest brands and companies, helping them to develop recipes for commercial products in UK retail.
Hello, and I'm Alan Marson. My background's in food ingredients and in open innovation in food.
Yeah, and we're talking today about Fruition Foods, which is the company that we've set up, which is all about helping companies, food companies, specifically small startups and small companies, bring their business ideas to fruition and improvement. It's kind of a business accelerator for the food industry, focusing broadly but not entirely on the north of England where we're based.
So my background is in the food ingredients business, led me to be always looking for new ideas to bring into influence the brand teams that I worked with, always looking at the health agenda, and that got me interested in working with academics, bringing new ideas, or working with companies to bring new ideas into the food industry.
I think it's sort of fair to say that we formed Fruition really to help companies that are creating a better, healthier and more sustainable food system. Sustainability has become more and more important, hasn't it? We've always been focused on health, but sustainability has become more important over the past few years. But it's kind of helping companies make a better food system and helping startups that have got really interesting ideas bring those ideas to life and accelerate them and make them better companies.
I fully agree. It's so important that we can get early sight of these new ideas and help bring them through strategically into the right place and support with a range of activities that we can offer through our associates model that we've got within Fruition Foods.
Mm. And those activities, talk a bit about some of those activities. So obviously, my role is as a development chef, so I help in development, recipe development and actually bringing recipes to life and presenting them to customers and to retailers and really getting involved with sort of using different ingredients to produce sort of culinary type applications. But there's lots of other sort of areas we support in as well. Do you want to sort of talk
That's
about
right.
that?
That's right. We, for instance, bringing a new ingredient into the market, it'd be something that we have had quite a lot of experience in, working for people from different countries, bringing new things into the market and finding the right types of clients for them, or the right strategy to be able to bring them into the market either in the UK or in Europe. Likewise, identifying at a very early stage new technologies, new processes that may be useful in the food industry, particularly from driving health and sustainability, is very useful for us. So areas that help really reduce the waste in food or reduce or improve nutritional aspects of food.
Mm. There's a lot of sort of innovation support, marketing support, product development support, and access to kind of our network of people who can help with IP and help with sort of regulatory and help with funding and all those sort of issues, isn't it?
I think it's so important with small companies and startups to have access to those, that I think in the area of open innovation that I've been working in from my own perspective in the last 20 years, it's so important to be able to have that range of skills to be able to access, as well as the resources that you can find in universities or trial plants or in analysis that you might need to have carried out on products. Is so important to be able to speed up development and the commercialization of products, and having that know-how, that network of what to do is so important.
Yeah. So I guess it's kind of the big food company experience, because our experiences within big food companies most of our associates are experienced within big food companies, and it's getting that experience and using that to help small startups, entrepreneurs, and small companies expand and bring really good ideas and innovative ideas to fruition, essentially, isn't it?
It's essentially that, and identifying things that really could that could take off in our markets or even in other markets is something that really motivates myself and the rest of the team.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the people we've worked with in the past, some of the companies we've worked with and who we're currently working with?
Yeah, I think I think we've been helping, say, inventors, bringing new ingredients or new process solutions to market, and identifying areas that they have not been able to think of themselves of where things could be commercialized, or how they could, the method of actually selling those products, or proving the value to customers is something that we're very good at. And also, I think looking at the way that ideas are articulated and visualized, and how you might promote those both to consumers and to customers is really, really important. And I think that the importance of that's accelerating.
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, I'm a writer. I do a bit of food writing, but we also have other people working on communication on social media and helping develop sort of social media platforms for companies, which I think is often something that entrepreneurs working really hard to launch a new ingredient, say, are probably going to, that kind of can get left behind. Can it sort of focus on those sort of aspects?
And if I add to that, I think that over the last 2 years or so, during the pandemic, the importance of digital communication has been so self-evident, and I can only see that continuing.
Yeah, because they're selling a lot of stuff online now, aren't they? If you're the consumer, brands that previously would have relied almost entirely on retailers were selling huge amounts of stuff online through websites.
It's changed that landscape altogether. Yeah.
Okay. Just quickly, when I say we're working with companies that are making a better food system, it's really, it's health, it's sustainability, and things like. I mean, we obviously do a lot of work on plant protein and helping people develop new plant protein ingredients and those sort of.
Yeah, I think that whole protein landscape and the alternative proteins is something that we've got quite a lot of insight and knowledge around, and I think we can help guide appropriate approaches really to make sure that companies are making healthy plant-based foods as well as highly sustainable plant-based foods.
Yeah, because a lot of those solutions are coming from smaller companies because bigger companies just aren't quick enough at innovating, because it's innovation happening at such a pace within plant-based that sort of you need that sort of agility, don't you? And the smaller companies seem to be doing better.
I think that is the case, and you can a lot of it really depends on what segment of the market that you want to approach. You've obviously, within that plant-based foods area, you've got a lot of beverage applications. You've also got alternative meat solutions, but increasingly you see things a lot more vegan cheese options being offered around as well. So I think the plant-based covers the whole spectrum of food categories.
Yeah, and that's fair to say we have associates which can cover kind of most of those, or probably all of those areas, really. Certainly within the associates we work with. Exactly.
Yeah, and I can only see that market continuing to grow, and I think it's driven as much by sustainability as health as well.
I suppose the part that's perhaps slightly different to what we do, well, a lot of our work is with ingredients companies rather than the brands, the consumer brands.
Yes.
Obviously there's a huge growth in consumer brands in plant-based, and we work with some of them, but we also work at the level back perhaps at the ingredients, which is where a lot of the real innovation is going to have to come from, because a lot of the brands are just using the same old ingredients that we use for years.
That's right. And I think identifying those things at an early stage that people can incorporate into products to drive a product differential, whether that's a sensory difference, a health aspect, are so important.
Yeah, sometimes that might even be back to the agricultural level, to the field, which is where we have supported some people as well in seed development and crop development.
Right from the right from that agricultural aspect in terms of the agronomy part, right the way through to really to product design. So in between, there is an issue around transformation of those raw materials and understanding the life cycle analysis of those, understanding the sustainability, the utilization of the Earth's resources is really important to us all.
So yeah, we just want to talk about some of the companies that we work with Fruition, some of the people we've helped. So can you just sort of talk a little bit about a couple of them maybe?
Yeah, I think if I pick up on the point to do with food waste and sustainability, we have been helping a European company who is really an entrepreneur, is an inventor. He's nothing at all previously to do with the food industry. He identified a problem associated with food waste, and that was going on in the region where he lived, and it was self-evident where he was seeing lots of waste crops in fields, and particularly root vegetables. And he started to think about a solution that was able to recover these root vegetables, process them in a way either to produce snack type products, and it was able to even make things like bread and cake from 100% root vegetables. And this was a very highly motivated individual who we've helped bring that development forward into a commercial entity. So, keeping on the theme of vegetables, we've been helping a company in Europe manufacture an alternative to breadcrumbs by using vegetables and using vegetables that wouldn't have normally been used in the supermarket chain, and helping them bring this product forward to produce a coating for many plant-based foods that are on offer today.
And that's one that I've been quite involved with, because they're interesting sort of coating products. They're made entirely from vegetables, so they're quite bright colours, they're different flavours. And my job as a development chef is to bring that stuff to life and make it more exciting for customers. And actually, for European companies like this one, they perhaps don't quite understand the UK plant-based market. So it's quite nice for them to have our development resource who really understand that market, know all the key customers, but also know what those customers will want to see and how they'll want products brought to life in applications which make sense for UK consumers.
I think that's so important.
And we've done a bit of work with that, with sort of European companies, helping them come over to the UK or develop exciting, interesting ingredients, because there's a lot of stuff going on in Europe on plant-based. The UK is probably the most advanced market in Europe, probably in the world actually, for plant-based food, but there's lots of, but probably not in terms of the consumer end, the UK is advanced, but in terms of the ingredient end, we're probably not as advanced as some of the others.
That's exactly right, and we're highly dependent on European manufacturers for ingredients within the plant-based food sector.
So, I'm involved with ingredients and recipes. We also do a lot of work with process and process technologies and helping people develop new technologies in food processing.
I think we've got several examples of that, and keeping really close to sort of food product manufacture. We have an interesting one which is live currently, which is a way of making snack products without the need for an extruder. And this has been developed in fairly small scale, suitable for use in small and medium-sized bakeries, and at the moment we're helping develop that for a more full-scale snack product production line.
Right. Okay. But I mean, sustainability is often our focus. We talk about it all the time. It's kind of one of the big areas we work in. And food waste, as we said, is one of the biggest, most pressing problems of creating a more sustainable food system. So that's something we're involved in quite a lot, isn't it? Food waste reduction and food waste sort of circular economy sort of.
I think over a long period of time we've been involved in things like looking at waste from the brewing process, looking at waste from the milling process, looking at waste from even in pea production. It's a whole host of materials that could be recovered and utilised back into the food system. And if I take the brewing one currently, there's quite a lot of interest in reuse of spent grains and spent proteins from the brewing process, and we have a particular one that we're looking at now, which combines both the protein and the recovered fibre from the brewing process, which sort of helps both sustainability and the health messaging.
And there's some interesting ingredients coming out as well, with some interesting functionality as well. It's not just,
No, that's right. And there's another, what I'd call a lone inventor who we're working with, who's got a very interesting solution. Is from another sector of the science. Is identified a solution which would be very useful in the beverage industry, and particularly for removal of additives and keeping the vitamin content of drinks more viable for over a longer period of time. And those types of things are really need sort of nurturing and bringing through to validate them both technically and commercially, and that's the type of thing that we can do.
I think it's another area where the most interesting ideas come from sort of entrepreneurs looking from the outside rather than within the large companies. And that's
I think that's a very interesting point, because it's really been for companies to be able to look externally and have the time to do that in today's age is getting fewer and fewer. So having extra pairs of eyes that provide all this type of technical, commercial insight is so important.
It's interesting ideas come not just from outside of big companies, it's often from outside the industry, isn't it? There's a couple of examples you said, people not in the food industry looking at it and going, well, we could do something with that.
That's right.
But they don't have necessarily the expertise or the contacts or the understanding of the industry to be able to develop those ideas, and that's why we sort of come along and help them.
And if I build on that, it's the same that someone can have a really strong idea in a place, but showing it to someone with a set of associates like ourselves, you can see other opportunities, whether that's in the food system or whether it's even in pet food or in cosmetics. There's some opportunities in some markets for some of their inventions.
And it's knowing, it's identifying which specific companies you should be approaching. We have quite a wide group of associates who have contacts pretty much throughout the industry in every sector. I think it's
and I think that provides acceleration of the opportunities for those people. Yeah. And as well as the scale of things.
As well as working at the ingredients level and the manufacturing and process, we also work with some consumer-facing brands as well. Some sort of entrepreneurial startups, which you get so many in the plant-based area these days, and there's some really interesting ones. We work to support some of them specifically, haven't we?
Yeah, I think there is a really good example of being right at the inception of a business, providing human resources, providing facilities for people to develop their idea, which is something that we did in this particular example I'm thinking of, and being able to help provide some direction, practical and technical support, at that early stage has been really a very nice activity to be involved in.
Yeah, because the company you talk about it's quite a young team, isn't it? It's not a hugely experienced, it's hugely energetic and hugely and very good at the sort of marketing and branding and social media and all the work they've done there.
Yeah.
But they're quite a young, inexperienced team in terms of development, so there are sort of bits and pieces that sort of slightly older people like us get know a few tricks and product development things which we've sort of managed to teach them, and helping marinades stick to sort of substrates and stuff like that, and things you put in, because there's some stuff you perhaps don't learn in college or within you
that's right
learn from experience.
I think in that example there was actually very little practical experience within food development.
And without support, then you're going to get tripped up, aren't you? So
exactly.
I guess it's kind of helping that sort of company and supporting them.